highly of this stuff. I mean, Evan Williams to me is it's a whiskey I can always count on. It's my go-to whiskey. That's actually why I have this bottle of Black Label out right now because I want you guys to see that I always have a bottle of Evan Williams on hand. I mean, it's a great whiskey. It's a lot of people think of Evan Williams. They say it's a bottom shelf whiskey. They see it at the store, see the price, around $10, $10 or $11. They just assume that it's, just another bottom shelf whiskey. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that this is not. It may sit on the bottom shelf at the store, but it is not bottom shelf whiskey. Evan Williams is every bit as good, in my opinion, better than a lot of these commercial whiskeys you see. You see commercials for and advertisement for. Evan Williams is one of the best, maybe the best, $10 whiskey that I've had. So, anyway, Evan Williams Black Label. I suggest you try this out if you haven't already. Sure, most of you have, but this is it's a mass-produced whiskey. This Black Label here, and that just means several hundred barrels of whiskey, of Evan Williams whiskey, have been poured in together for the bottling process, and it still makes a great whiskey, and a lot of other some other major companies. They all do the same thing. They have a base product where they pour all these barrels of whiskey together, and some of the flavors don't blend well together, we'll say, and it's not as good as Evan Williams. Evan Williams, even though this Black Label here is, as I said, mass produced, it is a great product. There's nothing offensive about it at all. It's just a great, smooth, sweet. It's got the oak in there. It's just a very good whiskey. Anyway, the single barrel here. Single barrel means that it was bottled from one barrel of whiskey. And as you'll see I'm going to read the back of this bottle in a minute, but it even gives you the barrel number. I mean, they put a lot of care into their products at Evan Williams, and this bottle here is no exception. This is very high quality whiskey for a very good price. Evan Williams, Black Label goes for $10 or $11 at the store usually. This single barrel here, I got it for $26.99 before tax. So really good price for a single barrel, especially. Single barrel, the thing behind single barrel is using one barrel of whiskey tends to give you a smoother, more pure product than a bottle of whiskey that's just hundreds of barrels thrown in together. And this right here, for the price, is one of the best single barrel whiskeys I've had. There are a lot of great single barrel whiskeys I've had, but in this price range for under $30, this has to be one of the best, if not the best, single barrel whiskey I've had. Anyway, a little bit about Evan Williams. We've talked about him before. Evan Williams himself opened his distillery in Kentucky in 1783, and they say it is maybe the first commercial distillery in Kentucky. So that's pretty neat right there. And Evan Williams, he was a really popular guy when he was alive. He'd go to town meetings with his whiskey, and people would drink it up. He'd leave. They'd tell him, "Don't bring your whiskey back." town officials, but he would bring it with him, and it would be consumed. So kind of a character there. Anyway, wanted to read you the back of this bottle here, and this booklet that comes on the bottle. It says, "This bourbon was personally selected by our master distiller only after meeting his exacting standards for this vintage. Taken from a single barrel, it is the art of bourbon making at its finest. Bottled unblended with other barrels to preserve its individuality, hand numbered as a sign of its limited availability." And it tells you it was barreled on June 21st, 2007. Barrel number is 357, and it was bottled, put into this bottle on 2/6/16, February 6th this year. And you can see it right there. And to me, that just, as I said before, just shows what kind of care and detail they put into their whiskey, and Evan Williams makes great stuff. To me, one of my favorite, overall distilleries, Evan Williams. So anyway, I'll just keep it on the bottle because it doesn't want to come off. It's stuck in the wax. So it says there's bourbon, single barrel bourbon, and Evan Williams single barrel vintage bourbon. Typically, bourbon is a blend of many barrels. Bourbon bottled from a single barrel is categorized as single barrel bourbon. Evan Williams single barrel vintage bourbon, however, is much more. It's the only single barrel bourbon bottled with a vintage date to provide proof of age and the subtle year-to-year distinctions found in fine wines. What a difference a date makes. Whiskey of the year after year after year. It says Evan Williams single barrel bourbon continues to receive awards and accolades year after year in recognition of its superior qualities. The following are but a few. So here are some of the awards this whiskey has won. It's Whiskey of the Year by the Spirit Journal, Domestic Whiskey of the Year by Malt Advocate, Spirit of the Year Bourbon category by Wine and Spirits Buying Guide, Spirit of the Year American Whiskey category by Food and Wine, Top Spirits of the Year Best American Whiskey by Wine and Spirits Buying Guide, and this is what Wine Enthusiast has to say about Evan Williams single barrel. It says, this distillery has issued a vintage Evan Williams bottling every year since 1986, and each year the whiskey has been better than the previous bottling. So that's some pretty high praise from some pretty notable companies there. So the last thing it says, uncork a bottle of Evan Williams single barrel vintage bourbon for a date you'll always remember. So anyway, let's open this bottle up because looking forward to having more of this stuff. This is actually this is the first bottle I've had of it this year. Single barrel here. But I try to get a bottle of this, at least a bottle, if not a few, every year. And as it said in there by Wine Enthusiasts, they said that for some reason the bottling of single barrel Evan Williams it seems to be better every year, and I agree. I've had it for the past few years and couldn't agree more. It just when you think you couldn't like it any more than you do, it surprises you. There's new flavor in there, and I'm sure this year will be no different. Never disappoints. So let's pour this. Yeah. Gee, I spilled a drop of whiskey. It's insane. So Evan Williams single barrel. It's about the same. The black label is 43% alcohol, which is 86 proof, and this one is 43.3% alcohol, which is 86.6 proof. All you got to do is double the percentage to get the proof. So, anyways, let's take a look at this, guys. As I said, it says it was barreled on 6/21/07. You know, they distill it and then put it in the barrel from there. So June 21st, 2007, and it was bottled on February 6th, 2016. So, you know, you're looking at roughly a 9-year-old aged bourbon here, which is a great age. So looking at it, you get a medium amber, like a caramel color. It has a very nice, you know, you can tell that it's been in the barrel for a while, and you know, just I love seeing that kind of color in my bourbon. I mean, some bourbons are lighter, some are darker. This is right there in the middle. It's beautiful. All right, guys, on the nose. Oh, man, this thing has a great nose. But you get some caramel, definitely some oak in there, like charred wood, charred oak. Guys, I get a lot of fruity flavors too, though. Fruity scents. There's definitely apple in there. You can smell the apple. It smells delicious. You know, not like these flavored whiskeys these days that have apple and all kinds of stuff and, you know, flavoring like liqueurs and all that in there. But like real good, really good apple and citrus and let's see. There's so much going on with this. So many good scents, guys. Definitely a little bit of vanilla in there. I want to take a taste. On the palate, it's just so good, guys. You get everything we talked about. The sweet, you know, sweetness of the caramel and, you know, that caramel taste, that sweet corn, the oak. Oh man, and you definitely get the apple in there, like apple slash pear. I want to say, just some good fruity notes in there. But you also get some good spice in there. And it's so well balanced, guys. This is just so sweet. It's not overly sweet, but it's got that sweetness. It's got the spiciness, the oakiness, and it's an amazing whiskey. And how you guys can see that, that's just such a beautiful. It looks like a freaking, you know, sunset or something. It's a beautiful whiskey. Guys, do yourself a favor and get this. I say it with a lot of these bourbons, but get yourself a bottle of this for sure. Go out and find it. I was lucky enough to find this at the grocery store, but you know, some of you might have to, depending on where you live, what part of the country you live in, you may have to go to, you know, a liquor retailer. Wherever you have to go, though, do yourself a favor and get a bottle of this. It's, you know, like I said, $26.99. You know, I've seen it as high as, say, $32, $33. But, guys, this is worth every penny. You're not going to find a single barrel of this quality for less than this. I mean, I don't know how Evan Williams can do it. I mean, they continue to surprise me and you know, put a great product on the shelf every year. So you guys definitely go out and get a bottle of Black Label, the 1783. You know, there are several varieties of Evan Williams, but get yourself a bottle of this single barrel here, and you won't be disappointed. This is amazing whiskey. And until next time, cheers.